What's going on, gamers? It is Thursday night. Now, normally, we would be doing this on Wednesday. Wednesday is our day for the podcast, but things got delayed a little bit. Normally, it is Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Every Wednesday. We haven't missed a week in like I think whole last month. We haven't missed a week in weeks.
19 weeks, baby.
But we had to push it to today. And so you guys get to enjoy some Real Gamer Hour on Thursday for once. It's kind of nice. I'm Mtashed. We've got KackisHD here and True Vanguard. And we talk about all things gaming here on the podcast. If you haven't followed already, make sure to follow. Hit that little bell button so you know when we are live, because apparently we change it up all the damn time.
You know.
But not really.
Yeah, between you getting banned on platforms left and right, and
right?
It's just hard to find a time that works for everyone.
Exactly. So today we got some interesting topics. PogChamp, the emote that has been spammed millions of times, is banned. We're going to talk about why. Destiny 2 community imploded this week with even some content creators quitting. Outriders got delayed, but some kind of interesting news. Roblox is going public and is valued at 30 billion? What? And then Cyberpunk dead already? Question mark. So we're going to start right at the top with the PogChamp stuff. This one is, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yesterday...
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, for sure.
Yesterday, we saw people infiltrating the Capitol building, and there was a lot of political stuff going on yesterday, and rioting going on. And we're obviously not going to get into that too much. This is a gaming podcast, but I mean...
This is where they intersect here.
Yeah, this is where they intersect. The guy who's behind the emote, PogChamp, the guy that's going, right? He started like going off on Twitter, posting videos, and essentially like, he was like conspiracy theorying all over Twitter. Like he was
calling for violence, like literally calling.
Yeah.
He's like, "Where's the civil unrest?" It's like,
yeah,
all right, that's not. And this guy's been like, it's not just this one thing. He's saying that COVID is like not real. It's just a lot of controversial things behind this guy, and who's associated with this emote, right? And so Twitch decided, you know what? We're just gonna cut ties. We're gonna stop. You can't post PogChamp anymore, and they've announced that they are going to remove the other kind of any sort of Pog-related emote, like anything related to this guy.
Right. And
they just don't want to be associated with him in any way, shape, or form. They want to make sure that it's clear to their community that they don't endorse that kind of behavior or that mentality. So I think it's a good play.
And it's not the first time they've done it either. Like they got rid of Bless RNG after like a lot of those like allegations in the summer came out. He was one of the people that got mentioned, and they deleted that one as well. And so
this isn't the first time they've done it.
Right. But I mean, good. Like the guy was like, he was being a nut job. Like,
but here's the argument. The argument is, well, a lot of people, right? And I'm just playing devil's advocate. A lot of people would say, I didn't even know who this guy was. I'm just using PogChamp because it's a funny face.
Mm-hmm. Right. I get that, but at the same time, I mean, there's been times where I have said something. I actually had this happen not too long ago where I said something on stream that was just a euphemism that I was used to saying, right? And people came to me privately after the stream and DM'd me and said, "Hey, listen, you said this during your stream, and I just wanted to let you know that the meaning behind that, where that came from, this is the story behind that." And I was like, "Oh, I did not know that. Thank you." And that's not the first time that's ever happened to me. And if myself, even if I'm unaware of something, I want to avoid using any term, emote, anything that could make somebody else feel uncomfortable or disrespected or dishonored. And so I think it's the right place still.
And that's the interesting point, though, because it's like both things are kind of right. Yes, totally makes sense for Twitch to remove it and very justified. At the same time, it is bigger than this one guy. And it makes you think, well, is there a couple of ways that Twitch could go about fixing this? I honestly think that it just shouldn't be an actual person. It was back in the day when Twitch was getting started, but there's so many amazing and talented like emote artists have like a competition to create a new Pog face. And then it's just, it's not directed at a person. It's just like a cartoon character, and it will fulfill the same role as Pog. It's that same face, but it's not associated with a person, so they can't screw it up.
Right.
Mhm.
Did you hear about the recommendation from Day 9 about PogChamp?
I did.
No.
I thought that one was kind of interesting. He
It was.
essentially was like, a bunch of people could apply and like put their name in for a new PogChamp emote, and it would cycle through them. So it was almost like a community thing. Is like when you
like
say
a-
PogChamp, it's like everyone just going, oh, and so there'd be a bunch of different faces and races and people, and so
You're just rolling the dice every time you type. Yeah.
yeah, which I thought is kind of cool because then it's kind of like it's the community, and almost if everyone was doing it, it would feel kind of like those are the people watching. You know, like that's the audience that's watching. I could see it being kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
I think
overall.
also in that same vein, they could have, if it can't cycle between a bunch, maybe have a competition. Like they have those like Twitch rivals things, have like different brackets and like different types of games. Like today we're doing, Fall Guys, next day Among Us, next day Call of Duty Warzone, and you can like, and you did have different brackets of all these different games of all these different communities, and someone ends up like winning the PogChamp,
their
the Pog
PogChamp.
Championship, and then they get to create the PogChamp emote after the Pog Championship.
Yeah.
Twitch
for like
that
a
is-
year. For like a year,
Yeah.
they could be like Pog. Oh,
Yeah.
that would be pretty cool, actually.
Listen, they're not going to hear your idea, Kat,
No,
because
true. Yeah,
they
that's
blacklisted
actually
us a long
True,
time
true,
ago.
Dude, they're just gonna put a sombrero on it and call it a day.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. It's gonna be like some Twitch intern with like his phone being like, "Here
That's
you go,
right.
boys."
I mean, the thing is I know that it might not seem like a big deal to a lot of people, like, oh, it's just an emote. But at the same time, there are some other emotes out there, like the try hard emote. I hate that one. Like the only time people use it is to be racist. Like literally, like there's some emotes that other content creators have made, and they just do it to be kind of sus and to be kind of jerks. And I think that even with an emote, it can breed a little bit of toxicity. But it's like if the guy behind the emote is a big piece of trash, like it's time to move on.
Is like you got to sit back and say like, okay, if you subscribe to someone, it makes total sense for that person's face to be part of the emotes, right? Like we have an Mtashed emote, we have a True Vanguard emote at RGH if you're a channel member, right? And that's totally fine. But the thing about PogChamp was like it was like a Twitch-wide thing.
Right.
And
It's
so
global.
maybe again for these global emotes, it's time to move away from like actual like people. Like it's kind of like Twitch is promoting certain people and then not promoting certain other people. And that's why I think maybe having either a database where it's so many people that it kind of equalizes out, or again, just switch them from real people to like the cartoon versions, the animated versions, to just we don't have to worry about that, right?
Yeah. And if people don't use them, they don't use them. Like it is what it is. Like if it's not as popular anymore, it is what it is. Maybe they'll actually use my emotes for once. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe they
Well,
use
I
the
doubt
RGH
it.
emotes for once.
Yeah,
Speaking of which, hey, we got some new RGH emotes in the works right now, y'all.
we got there.
Yeah.
We actually did something for once, and we're working on them. We actually got into. We got there on the way. That's what I'm saying.
Perfect. So let's move on to the Destiny 2 community imploding the last few days. This week was like back to back. Like every time I opened Twitter, people were complaining about something or other in
It
Destiny.
sort of snowballed.
Yeah. It started with,
Snowballed stasis.
okay.
Okay.
I mean, I don't even know what started it because it seems like it's like every week there's someone.
You
There
know what
was a
started?
couple of posts. There was a post from me. There was a post from DFP, and a lot of people piggybacked off that, quote tweeted it, and then more PvP players started making comments, and
Well,
it
so was
really
you.
just.
It was you, True Vanguard.
I'm not
started
saying it was.
all.
I would say early in the week, me and DFP had made a couple of tweets, and I don't know if those directly. I would assume those directly influenced some of the thoughts. I know some of them did because they quote tweeted us, but it did end up kind of blowing up, and a lot of people came forward with their thoughts. Not just PvP players, like people who are known for PvP, but also
Kitten
people
in the
like King
chat-
Ithalian.
Oh. I was gonna say Kitten in the chat is right. This was such a big deal. The word Bungie ended up trending on Twitter. All
Yes.
because of this.
Yeah, so this wasn't like some small thing. Cathalion was talking about it, Glad was talking about it. I mean, some big name creators who aren't even just specifically known as PvP players started getting on that bandwagon, expressing their thoughts. And there's a lot of consensus here. I mean, there are people who love stasis. It's true, but most of the people who are the ride or dies who have been in the community for a long time, the majority of that community is not on board with this vision for the future of Destiny PvP. And see stasis is a real detriment to the integrity and the character of Destiny 2 and the way that it plays and has played for the better part of a decade now between 1 and 2. So it's really interesting. A lot of people actually saying they're going to pull out, and some people already have. Some people have already started to stream other games, play other games, create content on other games. Not that that's a huge deal for the average player. It probably isn't when some of these people move on, but it does make you wonder, how long is Destiny PvP going to continue to thrive if nothing changes? And this is the thing, it's not just about stasis. That was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back. Most of the PvP community is really up in arms because they're like, listen, we've been patient. You told us over a year ago there will be a renewed focus on PvP. We've been patient. We've been waiting. We got trials, and it wasn't terrible, but we offered feedback and nothing changed with it. We got Adept Loot, but the game mode plays the same. We got no new maps, but we got a ton of maps taken away. We got some balance updates here and there. The new balance update is actually pretty good, sandbox update, but it's kind of completely overshadowed by stasis. So everyone's just sort of reached a breaking point.
Right.
I think it's also what you said is all right. I think another important thing is the catalyst, and I don't think it's any coincidence, is that this is just after Trials finally comes back. Like, we were waiting for Trials. A lot of people were already mentioning complaints about stasis just doing sixes and stuff. Trials comes back, and then a couple of weeks later you have this breaking point, because I think Trials really exasperates all these issues. It's so devastating when you die, right? Because the whole mode is about that you're just hyper focused on the things that get you killed and the things that get you kills. And stasis is just at the forefront of that. I mean, we were playing pretty much every time we play Trials, it's 95% stasis subclass. Like, I don't think any honest person can even try to argue that stasis isn't clearly more powerful than most, if not all, light subclasses.
Mm-hmm. And that goes against the integrity of the game, that it honestly built its reputation on the capacity for people to pick and choose what they're going to main and how they want to play, create their unique builds, use these exotics. But now the game has become so narrow that there's the narrow way that you can go if you want to stay on top. Now, some players are good enough to be able to perform pretty well without stasis in casual environments, but when push comes to shove, stasis is on top.
Right.
Yeah.
And a good player is going to abuse it even more and make someone who's not a good player even more frustrated,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
But like getting Shatter Dive, and it's just like they huck a grenade and it AoEs you from a mile away. It's like bigger than a rocket radius. It's insane how big it is.
That is true.
Like, it's bigger than it's bigger than a Nova Bomb radius.
Yes.
That's how you know. That is how you know, bro.
And unlimited recharge. So it'll recharge instantly. I've seen people like hop, do it again. Like instantly. And it's also the situation of, like, I always think it's funny when, I think on Bannerfall it wasn't as obvious, but then on that second map where everyone was kind of going through hallways, Shatter Dive really had its moment to shine. And I think it's really funny how people will say Shatter Dive is OP, right? Mm-hmm. And all the Hunter mains get really upset by that. And they go, well, what about the fact that the Titan super lasts half an hour? What about this? And you're like,
you're right.
You're right. Like, it's all
right.
bad. Like, like, you can't have abilities that overwhelmingly powerful than I keep bringing it up, but the example is Striker Titan. Imagine playing Striker Titan in your super against stasis sub. You're so screwed. It's not even funny. Like, how are you gonna win as a Striker Titan against a Revenant, against the Behemoth, or like any of them? You're just gonna get instantly frozen as you're charging at someone and killed.
A Revenant, no super active. They can backers through you to slow you. Yeah. Throw a little blade at you and you're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
And then they Shatter Dive on you and start teabagging. Like, well, and the thing is like,
melee supers are completely, aside from Behemoth, there's no viable melee supers. Arc Strider, Striker, Nova
you can't
War.
even reflect half the stuff with the spinny thing.
You freeze anyways, right?
You should be able. Melee supers should be able to heavy attack and break out of being frozen. Like obviously,
or you gotta get
like it's
hit,
hard to
twice.
freeze
like,
a Dawn Blade. It's easy to freeze an Arc Strider. How are you not going to freeze an Arc Strider?
I think super shouldn't be frozen by anything that isn't another super.
Mhm.
I think honestly, I think a super should only be able to be slowed at best.
Sure. Yeah. Honestly.
And unless it's another super, if I get silenced and squalled, sure, freeze me. But if throwing a couple little shurikens like that should not freeze.
Also, facts. Anyone who defends stasis, main stasis.
Well,
Don't
everyone made
ya?
stasis because that's all you can play.
Anyone in the chat who's like, it's not that bad, you stupid streamers. You're maining stasis. I guarantee you. Okay, bud? So it's like you're shatter diving people for 6 hours a day. No crap, you don't want shatter dive to be freaking nerfed. Like, come on.
Someone commented and was like, you just need to learn how to play. I've been playing Golden Gun and staying out of engagements this whole time, and it hasn't been a problem. And it's like, exactly. You're hiding. You're hiding. You won't even push.
I've been playing hide and seek.
Right, you're hucking trip mines and like won't go through that doorway because you're so terrified. Like, are you kidding me? You're trying to pick them off with a golden gun because if you go anywhere near them, you're done.
Dude, Stonekeeper29 makes the best point. He said, lol, I main stasis because it's OP as F and I can't counter it. Yup! like once people start maining stasis, you have to main stasis too because it's the only thing that can keep up with it.
The other thing too, though, is like because we've talked about stasis a whole bunch, but the other thing
it's not the only issue.
There's a lot of cheating still too.
No, well, I was gonna say what TV said about the renewed focus is so huge. Like we complained about stasis, but it's really the straw that broke the camel's back. Like you said, they said there was gonna be a renewed focus, and they added just trials, which was super underwhelming. They had to wait a whole nother 2 seasons to get adept weapons that should have launched alongside trials in the first place. Right? And they're not even done that well because they didn't remove anything from the loot pool. Like, who wants an Astral Horizon with freaking field prep?
Baby? Let's
Nobody,
go.
Bungie. Well, nobody wants that.
And it's like, they took away half the maps out of the game. There's no new game modes.
Really good, man.
Like there's never been any good objective game modes for the most part. They're all Slayer variants. Like, where's that Rift game mode? Like, Rift wasn't amazing, but they have had zero innovation in PvP. They brought back trials in the exact same state with most of the exact same guns, and they're like, oh, by the way, it has 2% more masterworked range. Like, come on, it's bullshit. And and like, there's no way. I don't know. There's no like incentive to play PvP either, reward wise. It's all just blue drops.
There's no loot.
Constantly blue drops.
There's no Crucible loot, no Crucible vendor loot. There you got the Stars and Shadows. Great.
Amazing,
but
bro.
Other than that, they brought the Cinder Pinion armor set, which actually looks pretty good. It's a good looking armor set. Here's the problem: you can only get a high stat roll on that armor set, 1 piece a week on your characters. You're muted, by the way, Kackis, I think, because I can't hear you. I see you open your mouth. But anyways, I'm never going to wear that armor because the chances of me getting a good roll are pretty slim. Getting a good roll that fits my build, pretty slim. So I can't wear the stuff anyways. There's no Crucible loot.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You mentioned the Stars and Shadow. You know what's so funny is like the Stars and Shadow is actually a decent gun. High impact high impact pulses are doing fine right now. It can get some decent rolls. I think it can get Killing Wind and then like Kill Clip. Cool. But it's like they added 1 weapon this season and they added 0 weapons the season before, 0 weapons the season before, 0 weapons. So if they had added something like the Stars and Shadow, just 1 weapon every season, honestly, people wouldn't even be complaining about it. It's like they do literally nothing for like a year for PvP rewards, and then they add just 1 new weapon.
That Stars and Shadows is so unremarkable. It is literally a blue pulse rifle that launched in Destiny 2, painted pink.
I mean, I would just rather use Cold Front anyways, that I could farm a god roll. Like, why am I going? I don't give a like. I don't care about that other one.
You mean Cold Denial?
Or Cold Denial. Sorry, like I have a god rolled Cold Denial. It's like I'm not going to use that other one. Who cares? But like, that's the thing is like in World of Warcraft. I know this is like an old example, but in World of Warcraft, for a long time, like the best weapons in the game were from grinding, grandmaster, and PvP. And that took a colossal amount of time. And I'm not saying that Destiny should have that, but like there's no chase, there's no incentive. You play PvP to have fun, but people aren't having fun in PvP a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And people like Ryan, who have like traditionally been very good at adapting, willing to adapt, willing to try new things, willing to be against the meta. You know, I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but it's like, I'm not having fun. And like, for me, it's not even like I'm frustrated because I'm losing. It's not satisfying to win either with stasis.
No.
It is the least satisfying thing in the game. Freezing someone and killing them, I just feel dirty. I don't feel like I've pulled off a skillful play. I kill someone and the freezing changes or chains, when I'm on Warlock, and I just roll my eyes. I'm like, oh my God. And I just leave the guy. I let him get up and I just walk away because I'm like, nope, I refuse to partake in this. And you know, I feel like there's a lot of people like Hush. I feel like Hush is one of the things that broke the camel's back because he finally just said, fuck this. Sorry. Demonetized, geez, sorry. But you know,
you guys better become members. We just got demonetized right
there. But like he was like, finally, like, this is the worst the game's ever been. I'm done. Right. And so I think a lot of people kind of maybe had more confidence to step up and be like, yeah, this is trash. But there's a lot of people that, like myself, I might not have been super public about it. If you ask me, if you question me when I'm streaming, like I'm probably going to drop the bomb. Like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to play Destiny anymore. But there's a lot of people that are closet wanting to quit. Like I think Chevy, he just said the other day, I think Char made a statement the other day too about like I don't know, like I kind of want to play Final Fantasy over Destiny, and like I don't know what Destiny's future is. Glad made another statement where he, you know, he said it a few months back where he was like, when there's nothing to do in Destiny, I'm going to play other games. And now a month in, he's making the same statements. He's playing Outer Wilds, he's playing other things. This is one of the fastest that a DLC of this size, like new subclasses and stuff, has tanked. It has to be. It is dying faster than Shadow.
It is. If you look at the like Google Trends, it's kind of shocking. The interest, the searches around Shadow Keep time was about double of what it is right now. Really? And like Shadow Keep didn't even. What did Shadow Keep add? The moon that we already had. Like this added new subclasses and a whole new location, and neither, I mean, they've ruined the balance of the Crucible, but like they're undoubtedly powerful and fun as in PvE, and the new location is pretty decent, except for they need to add a travel location near the top of the damn map. But aside from that, like it is kind of crazy how fast it's fallen off. And I think one of the reasons is a lot more options. The PS, like we had new consoles, we have a new Call of Duty, we had Cyberpunk, but like a lot of people bought it, whether or not they are enjoying it. We'll talk about that in a sec. But I think there's a lot of hate right now, but I kind of tweeted this out and I do agree. I think, unfortunately, this had, like, it kind of had to go down this way. And it's honestly a miracle that Beyond Light came out at all, because they had a ton of back-end work to do. That's, you know, the reason behind the removal of so much content is like they couldn't even update the game realistically, right? And we've already seen a little bit of a nerf to stasis. Normally we'd wait like 6 months for that because Destiny was so big that they'd try to fix something and they'd break 10 other things. So they had to do that. They had to do a ton of back-end stuff. They had to get this game ready for next gens. Like they literally had a free next gen version. Games are charging $60. Like, what's that Control game that charged $60 for the upgraded next gen version? So it's obviously a lot to work on.
That game's stupid good, by the way. It's unrelated, but just saying.
But I seriously think of how much development time went to back end shenanigans and getting this game ready on next gen. I hope now that that's done, that's out, they've made the launch. It's like, okay, we can take a breather. And now we can focus back on the content and which queen is going to be banging, right? Hopefully. I really hope that's the case.
Oh, I hope so.
I just want to jump on that really quick, though. And that's fine and that's understandable. And like, I'm sure for new players that like haven't played, they're like having a great time and they don't care. But at the same time, I feel like they've done so many things repeatedly to veteran players where it's like, you sunset all of our gear. You didn't really give us anything new to play. And so I understand why they're mad. But like, if you have people like Sweatsicle, because people were kind of talking about Sweatsicle saying he wants to quit as well. You have a guy that at one point had 40,000 subs, right, on Twitch.
Yeah.
You have some guy that's making bank covering this game, the most comfortable person ever, and they would rather go play other games than be comfortable. Like, and same with Glad. Glad had another like 40 or 50,000 subs from Destiny when that whole thing happened. They could milk the hell out of it, and they're like, I am so bored. I will get rid of that. I will throw that away because
Totally.
I'm that bored with the game. And so if they're doing that, you can imagine, right? If they're willing to throw it away, if they're willing to move on, then I can imagine the average person who's bored just quits. When the average person is bored a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks in, again, my cousin Dean, I know if a DLC is banging, if Dean's playing, and Dean was gone after a week and a half, and he's like, I don't know, it's like boring. Like there's nothing to do. Stasis is ruining the game. Like,
yeah, but he's mainly a PvP guy. Like I feel like also a lot of people are not going to run through the content as fast as us. The majority of people probably still haven't even done the raid yet, right? They're still like working on getting good builds. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily the end of the world, but I definitely understands people's frustration because it feels like we got better content at times from like not even fall expansions, Season of Opulence, adding Menagerie. Like, it was better than this, right?
Yeah.
Like there has definitely even Season of Dawn arguably like had more chase weapons and lit stuff to do. So I think they really need to reassess. And it's like, especially with sunsetting weapons, like stop being afraid to give us good stuff. Why? I say that and then they gave us stasis. So, but I mean, in terms of weaponry, like if it's gonna only last a year, it's good, and then you can patch stuff even faster now. Let's get those pinnacle weapons back again, right?
Yeah. Do you know what's wild though? Is you said that and you're like, even the Dawning was way better, and like it probably was
Season of Dawn.
Season of Dawn. But like, what's interesting to me is even at that point, I was like, oh my god, this sucks. Like I have felt this way for so long, where I'm like, I don't care about this steel feather repeater. Like I don't care about this gun. I don't care about this armor. Like it's crazy that's a year ago now, or it is a year ago, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. Like it's like a full year, and I was already like, man, like this game is just like boring me. And
so
I don't know.
What's funny is like that's one of the seasons I went really hard in, because that is actually one of the seasons where Bungie actually had some weapons that were really, really powerful. Like the Perfect Paradox could get. They had Demolitionist in the first slot, so we could get Demo and Trench Barrel. The pistol, the sidearm, the
Breachlight,
man. Demo Rampage. Like these are like, and the Jack of all Queens or whatever. That could get like Demo Swashbuckler. Like these weapons were super powerful. Guess what? They're all sunsetting.
Dude, can we talk about that? I want to talk about that for a sec.
They're all gone.
Here's another thing that bothers me about sunsetting is I understand. I was actually like, okay, I understand sunsetting. I'm okay with it up to a certain point. I think they put the baseline like it's way too recent. I mean, Shadowkeep is a year ago, and the Lectern weapons never really had an opportunity to shine. But now we're only a year later, and they have buffed 110 hand cannons to be 120s, and now they are meta. But guess what? Loud Lullaby. Hey, you know what you can do? You can target farm Loud Lullaby. It looks incredible. The design on that gun is fantastic. It has a great loop perk pool. It's sunset, and that's silly to me. Like
they need to
never even had a chance.
You know how they have certain exempt weapons where like stuff from Last Wish is still exempt, right? And if you get it, it's as if it dropped last season, which I think is fantastic. They need to do that more often with that type of stuff, True Vanguard. Like you said, they need to do that with the moon loot. If you're going to Bungie, if you're going to let people spend $30 or whatever, however much, $20, however much to buy Shadowkeep, the weapons there better as heck be relevant still. Like that's so ridiculous.
And Apostate is not that bad right now in PvP with the changes to how zoom value affects aim assist. You know, those Vice sniper rifles never got a chance to shine. Guess what? Apostate, you can target farm it, but it's sunset and it's only a year old. Same situation. There's some great weapons.
Like armor too. Like what? I just feel like so frustrated with the armor. It's so hard to get upgrades as is, and I'm not like motivated to go get armor ever. Like, it's really frustrating farming armor for me. If you get like a 62, 63 roll with some like spiky stats, that's going to be your armor piece for months because it's so hard to target farm or get any sort of upgrade. But then they sunset so much of my gear, and like I'm going and playing trials, I'm going flawless, and I get a 52 roll.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, this is dog. Like, this is terrible. I just am so frustrated with that to the point
I think
where
it's
like,
also time. I brought this up, dude. I'm telling you, I was absolutely leading the charge in Destiny 1, pissed off about lack of archetypes. And the same thing is going to come up. It's like Bungie, how hard would it possibly be to do an 850 rounds printed auto rifle or an 800 rounds printed auto rifle? Like, stop being, I hate to say it, stop being lazy. It's just adjusting the damage and the time to and the rate of fire so you get in amongst the other archetypes. Maybe add a couple of unique perks, a couple of unique features of the weapon, right? Has insane stability, trash range, or the opposite. I don't know, but you gotta actually go out of the ordinary. It's like, it's kind of like the whole Cold Front thing that's happening. It gets Dragonfly, it's finally something cool and unique, and they're like, no, we can't have that. Get rid of it.
yeah, I don't get that. Like,
it's like,
they said it's a
start
technical
breaking
issue,
the rules,
but-
dude.
Right.
You guys made these dumb rules that you keep changing anyways. Like, start breaking them more often.
And you know, even with that, they kind of reference like, oh, but wait for the Vault of Glass if you're interested in that. And they're kind of hinting like, well, Fatebring is coming back.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's like, are we excited about that? Like, they keep bringing stuff back, and it's all nostalgic. And it's like, if they bring the Icebreaker Sniper back at this point, I'm like, screw off. Like, if they bring back No Land Beyond, I want No Land Beyond. But it's like, all you're doing is giving me stuff I already had. I'm getting really sick of it. I'm getting frustrated with it.
I think though that they're trying to create the definitive Destiny experience, right?
Mhm.
And
So they have to bring it back?
I don't even know if they wanted to make a Destiny 2. They just
Right.
wanted to have Destiny and it go forever. And I think that's what they're trying to do with Destiny 2. So they have all these resources in the bank, and for a lot of players, like, they never played during Vault of Glass. So it's totally fine to bring that back, but have some more stuff. I hope they do that more often, as long as it's a good split of like bringing back some old stuff and some new stuff.
Yeah. Here's the
That's
thing.
great, fair.
Here's the thing that offsets the blow of the nostalgia stuff coming back for me is as long as they are still making good, fresh content to prove to us they know what their community really wants, then I'm fine with it. But here's the problem as a PvP player. This is one of the problems that I see is with Forsaken, right? They were like, this is the last time we got like a whole slew of new Destiny 2 maps. This is by the way, that's a long time ago for us to have a whole package of D2 new maps. Guess what? The Forsaken maps, all of the new ones, they're gone. Citadel, people hated it, gone. Equinox, people hated it, gone. Gambler's Ruin, people hated it. I loved it. Most people hated it, gone. And what are we getting in replacement of that is the next package of new maps we got were all D1 maps, Rusted Lands, Exodus Blue, right? And help me out. I'm spacing
Widow's
out.
Court?
What was the third? Widow's.
No, that was before,
What?
actually. Wasn't
No.
it Widow's Court before?
Doesn't matter.
Either way, it
Gone.
doesn't matter.
Old
It
stuff.
doesn't matter. It's old stuff, and it's like I'm all about nostalgia, but you have not given us the only good maps that people look forward to in D2 right now that are uniquely Destiny 2 maps are beta maps. Javelin 4, yes, everyone gets excited. Oh, Javelin 4 came up, can't wait to play this. Endless Veil came up, can't wait to play this. Those are beta maps. They've not given us a good new map in so long that the community really rallied behind it and enjoyed. Pacifica's pretty good. Most people like that one, but
I
for the
think
most
though
part-
that the important thing, Paul Tassi brought that up to your point, where it's like, and he wrote an article saying like, since Activision left, maybe Bungie, you don't have the resources to be making a different non-Destiny game, because right now there is a certain amount of people at Bungie Studios who are working on this unknown new game, and it's like, maybe put that on hold, get those probably hundreds of people, or at least 100 people, you know what I mean, and put them back on Destiny. Those people could be put to very good work, helping make some more damn Crucible maps or whatever, get Destiny back to a good point, and then you can maybe start, taking some resources off. But it's like you're kind of tying a hand behind your back when a huge chunk of studio that you really need, because you lost all these resources when Activision left, is working on a totally different game.
And I mean, it depends partially on like what kind of game that is. Like, I don't know if it's an indie game, like side-scrolling little thing, or is it like a AAA game? We don't really know. Other than there's been like kind of a logo leak, and then it's called Matter apparently, or that's a code name. But like, is it a AAA game? Is it like a little indie game? Like, is it a top-down view? Like, we don't really know what that is.
All I know is that if they try to release anything on it when Destiny is not in a good state, they're going to get crapped on because people are going to be like, oh, you're spending all your resources making this dumb game. Why don't you fix Destiny, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's just going to be the response. Like, there's going to be no hype behind it because people, they're not going to view Bungie as like a good studio. So I think it's time to like reassess your resources a bit here.
That's fair. Now,
We've been talking a whole lot about Destiny.
Let's move
All right,
on
let's
to
move
the
on.
Outriders stuff. Speaking of game devs and studios, Outriders posted, was that this morning? Or yesterday?
No, yesterday morning? 2 days ago?
Oh, it
Recently.
was yesterday morning. It was yesterday morning because it was before all the political stuff happened.
Hullabaloo went down, yeah.
So they said that, hey, Outriders is delayed. We're delaying it till April because it was supposed to be like February 2nd or something like that.
Yeah, April 1st it's coming out now.
That's what they're saying is April 1st. But they said, you know, we want you to try the game before you play it and or buy it, I guess you should say. And we're going to do a beta, which is cool because if people had the chance to play Anthem right before, they would probably be like, all right, I'm not buying this game. So that is pretty ballsy.
And your
not
characters
necessarily
get
ballsy.
to keep their progress. That's a big deal, actually, for a beta.
That's the biggest deal. That almost never happens. That you get to keep your progress to the full game.
It gets wiped. I think Division had one as well, and it got wiped. Like, I'm almost positive Division.
Just to fill you guys in who are listening, they said that any progress you make during the beta of the game,
which comes out February 25th.
That any progress you make is not like it's not gone for good when the beta goes away. When the full game launches, you'll get to pick up right where you left off. Same stuff, same character. If you choose to, you can just pick up where you left off. That's a big deal for a beta because most betas do not do that.
Yeah,
that's a huge deal, especially like a looter shooter where you kind of want to start to go ahead and get investing. Apparently, Anthem did have a beta, but. And they had a beta weekend, yeah.
Oh,
and a lot of people enjoyed it, and then the full game came out, and they're like, "Oh, there's not much more than the beta type of thing."
Oh, interesting. I didn't remember that. I mean, but is this a confidence thing? You know, are they coming saying, "Hey, we're ready. We're ready for you. You play the game. You check for yourself."
This is fantastic, and literally everyone out there, I'm saying. Everyone needs to go and download the Outriders beta when it comes out because it's completely free. There's no strings attached. You get to try the product. And if you like it, you can invest in the beta, play more times, and all your progress carried through. This is like beyond fantastic because too often we have Cyberpunk 2077 where it's like, you know, there's no beta, there's no option to try it, or we have something like Anthem just had a beta weekend. It was a very short beta. The Call of Duties will have a couple of beta weekends, and they're more just to kind of hype up the game. And again, you can't have your progress or anything. Having a beta come out February 25th, and then having the game come out April, that's a huge gap. So it gives a lot of people time to dive in and see if they actually enjoy this game. And I think that's like a fantastic thing. If people actually invest in this and play this, even if you don't like it, then that's totally fine. But hopefully this would encourage more people to do that because I think this is great.
And maybe then people can actually get an opinion of the game instead of going on our videos where we played it and they're like, this is shit. And it's like, bro, just try the game.
You told me this game would be good and I spent $60 on it.
And it's like, well, now you can test it and you can play a whole bunch of it. You can find out if you like it. And that's great. That's awesome. Who knows how big the beta will be? Like maybe there will be some sort of cap on how far you can get. I'm guessing
like a
will
demo.
Be. Yeah, so I'm guessing there will be, but even if you can go in and farm a bunch of like blue guns, I mean, when we played, even some of the blue guns had some pretty nutty perks. So if you're going to spend some time on the weekend and farm a bunch of gear and armor and stuff and get your build going, get a couple skill points, sweet, why not? And you know, if you can try out the different classes, you can figure out, okay, you know what? I don't want to grind this guy. I took him to level 5 or 8 or wherever we got. This isn't for me. I'm going to go try the pyro character or the turret guy.
True. Huge point. Yeah.
You can really vet that game and figure out if you like it.
Yeah.
Because one character you might not like. Like the turret guy, I'm probably not going to touch. But the assassin time guy, bro, that class
yeah.
is sick. It's so
The
sick.
guy is sick. Yeah, it's super consumer friendly. It's a great thing, and Outriders is a game that like has done nothing wrong, but just keeps getting crapped on by these weirdos. Like, I'm telling you, dude. Anytime you post an Outriders video, it's like this game looks dumb. It's like, why? It just looks dumb. I
It
don't know
just
why.
is.
It's like every time we play it, there's some legitimately cool abilities or whatever. And I remember replying to someone on Twitter and I said, like, you know what, like this Outriders game, it doesn't have to be a Destiny killer, right? Like everyone is like, what's the next big game that's gonna make you uninstall Destiny and uninstall Diablo and all that? It's like, it doesn't have to be that. I'm not looking for another main game. I'm looking for a side hoe, right? And and it's like, if I can get a game like Outriders, like right now, there's nothing to do in Destiny 2, right? There's not much. I wish I had a game I could fall back on, right? And go and just grind and have fun in a secondary game. If Outriders, again, it doesn't have to be my main squeeze, but if it's a game that's fun enough, has some decent investment, and I can go and play that when Destiny is boring as heck, I'm all about that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be one game. It doesn't have to be the ultimatum. Like, this is the game for the next 5 years, and that's it. That's all I can play. Like,
exactly.
I'm playing different games constantly, and I don't cover all of them, but
I've played 8 games in the last week alone.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one of the things that cracks me up when people are always like, man, you're complaining about your Destiny game. Why don't you just go play something else? It's like, I do. This week I played Phasmophobia, Minecraft, Borderlands 2, Borderlands 1, Raid Shadow Legends, Destiny, Apex Legends. You know, it's like, I've played a ton of games this week.
I bought Phasmophobia, by the way. We should have a horror night at one point. Yeah, but it is like a thing where, you know, you do want that looter in your life, and it's an interesting balance to strike, because like Division 2 is a good example of like, it requires almost too much investment, and of course they have like a season's pass going, so it's like if you want to do anything in that game, it's like 100 hours to do anything. That being said, like I got super into it when Genshin was getting popular, so that was a complete miss on my part. But like, again, it's one of those things where Outriders has been fun every time we've played it, and it's fantastic they're doing this, because it just lets more people try the game.
Yeah.
And if we've learned anything from games like Cyberpunk, it's that it's okay to delay a game and say, like, it's not going to be ready then. We're just going to put it off and postpone the launch date until we make sure that we have a product that we're really confident that we can stand behind. Hey, man, I'm all about that. Do not rush anything out the door, because I don't know how much more disappointment I can take.
Now, let's talk about a real good game. Roblox.
Well, let's talk about how to get the energy to play such a good game as Roblox.
You know what? That's a great idea. What are your thoughts on that, Kackis?
Well, I'm gonna finish this text.
Oh my God! How about I jump into it?
Let me just tell you guys, there's a product called Advanced GG, and they are fantastic. You know, clinically proven to enhance your energy levels and performance. And I gotta say, they got some really great flavors out there. Even if you're just looking for like, hey, I don't want to drink water, this is one of the things I think is really underrated. Some people just want a good, tasty beverage. Advanced GG, they've got some great flavors out there. Frostbolt's flavor, by the way, if you guys tried that, it's so good. Yeah.
It's got some nice zing to it.
And guess what? So good.
If you're trying to buy it, you can get 10% off right now by using code RGH, and then you support the podcast. So you can become a member, and you could support us directly through YouTube, or you could buy some amazing drinks from Advanced GG and use that discount code. It's a win-win, baby. Now let's talk about Roblox, because Roblox is insane. That game, well,
Thank you.
I played Roblox last weekend with my son. He's like, "Do you want to play Roblox?" And I was like, "What do you like? What?" And he's just like, "Whatever you want." Literally, whatever you want. There's like Grand Theft Auto type games. We played Counter-Strike. And we were like on Dust 2. And I can't remember what they called it in on the Roblox thing, but I was like, this is Counter-Strike, and I just dummied the lobby because it's a bunch of kids, and I'm just CS:GO stomping them. And the thing is there's Halo 3 maps on there. You can play Guardian and Construct and Narrows, and they've got like all the Halo noises in there. And so
Really?
like, oh dude, it's crazy. And so I was ripping it up on Roblox.
What do you have to play
Halo.
it on? Do you play it on mobile devices? Do you play it on PC?
I think you can do it on mobile. We were on PC. Like he was on his laptop and I was on my computer. And there's a ton of different games. And in those games, there is some monetization on some of them. You know, you can buy skins for your characters and there's Robux. But the crazy thing is you know, the mass majority of it is free to play. You don't have to spend money. But they want to take the company public. And they've got a current valuation of $30 billion. This gaming company for Roblox.
That's nuts.
They're valuing it at $30 billion, which is pretty insane. That is a very, very big value. But apparently for like some of the initial IPO, I was looking as well, in a day, they got like 550 million in funding or something like that, or 550 in like, in almost like, not angel investing, but kind of like saying, we'll buy stock. So that's pretty crazy. If they go public, I'm really curious to see where that stock goes and like what people are investing in that.
It's basically like Halo Forge mode, but for kids and its own separate thing.
Yeah, you can like mix all sorts of different games with all sorts of rules. And like honestly, it's a pretty cool way for kids to get creative and kind of like develop their own game. There's a lot that are trash out there, like for sure. But the highly rated games do have some thought in them, typically have some like pretty good mechanics. And a lot of them are copies of other games. But so what? Look at Addicting Games back in the day playing, you know, free Flash games. It's kind of the same idea. I didn't have money to buy a bunch of games back in the day. I'd be on Addicting Games or fun games or cool games or whatever. Sure. Like there's so many of those
coolmathgames.com, baby.
Games, and like playing Kitten Launcher and Bloons Tower Defense, all those different things,
bro,
right? And I would say that a lot of the
On
games,
the Run with your little miniclip.com, baby.
I would say that a lot of the games that are made in Roblox are vastly better than those Flash games that we used to play. I mean, they're nostalgic for sure, but if you look at what you can do, like they're literally porting in Halo to for free. So I think that it's pretty incredible, and there is a very big YouTube audience, and I mean it's kind of like the Minecraft thing. It's free, kids can play it. It's very accessible overall. I could see it being,
Minecraft isn't free,
isn't it? Oh no, it's not free. No. Yeah, it's not free, but it is for kids.
No, I've bought that game 3 times.
Oh really? Okay, but it is. But it is free.
Platforms.
Or sorry, it is for kids. Sorry, is what I meant to say.
Yeah,
and you know, Fortnite is free. We've seen how big Fortnite is. Obviously, that's like a AAA type game.
Also, when kids are into something, they're into something, dude. Like the views for like Roblox YouTubers, like it's funny. I remember seeing a screenshot. Like the Destiny community can be very holier than thou, and like you have an entire raid guide that's like 40 minutes long. It's going over everything. It's all time stamped, and there's like a few ads sprinkled in between. There's as much ads in my raid guide as there is in like a Fortnite top 10 video, and I still get ripped for that. It's like you guys are clueless. I've seen Roblox videos. Swear to God, it was like hours long.
3 minutes.
Every 90 seconds, it was an ad. It literally just looked like a yellow bar for the search bar. I couldn't believe it. But like they're little kids, they don't know any better, and it's kind of exploitive and weird in that regard. But it's also like the watch times, and because little kids will just turn on a Roblox video 2 hours long and just sit there and watch the whole damn thing, dude. You're like, wait, your guys' watch times trash compared to these little kids. Like all the adults watch like 2 minutes, man. And they're like, all right.
My daughter is lately, she's just really into. She'll watch people playing Mario Party games. We have Mario Party.
Yeah.
On Switch, and she'll sit there on YouTube Kids and she'll just watch people playing Mario Party games. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, it's fun, I like it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, is like a lot of people, they watch creators play the games that they could be playing, just like you watch an athlete, you know, doing a sport that you can play. And I know that there's some boomers that don't get it, but it is a huge,
but again, especially that kids market, kids just absolutely eat the algorithm up. It's basically designed for them, right? Like they'll sit and they'll watch like over and over again in the sidebar and everything.
Yeah. I can't remember who said it on Twitter the other day. I saw them. I wish I could quote them, but they were like, like Minecraft YouTubers like Dream, they're the new kids cartoons. That's the new medium.
Yeah,
Like that's the new
it's a good
content that people are
point.
watching. They're not watching cartoons on TV. They're watching Dream play
I
Minecraft.
guarantee you,
They're
Cartoon
watching Mr.
Network is
Beast.
like as good as a B tier kids YouTuber these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look
Yeah.
at that viewership, probably. But yet they're gonna make way more money because advertising on TV is still insane. Like insane.
Yeah.
They can come
Even
to
though
us.
nobody watches like
No,
TV
I know.
ads.
They come to us and they're like, we'll give you $500, but we'll go spend $75,000 to play our ads on Lizzie McGuire reruns.
and get
Like,
and get 1/10 of the viewership.
That's
Yeah.
right.
it's pretty wild. But I think it's pretty interesting, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, there's a lot of big public companies, and they're kind of big AAA games, like Activision, EA, CD Projekt Red, that's tanked in price. But Roblox is going to be interesting because it's a lot of content that's created by people. It's not like they have to spend a bunch of money on the development costs.
That's right.
They run the servers and everything, but they
And from
make
what
the platform.
From what I've heard,
Yeah.
they are creators are making huge, not content creators, like people making the games themselves are making bank
Yeah, from the
if
microtransactions and
they're
everything.
popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on though, unlike Roblox, which is vibing right now, Cyberpunk, it's very interesting. So there's an article that came out and said since launch, and this is a very short window, right? It's only like it came out December 10th or something like that.
Right.
So there's
Yeah, it's
December
not
10th
been a
till
month.
now. That Cyberpunk has already lost 80% of its players on Steam. Now, it's kind of sparked an interesting debate. Is this because Cyberpunk has some problem, very obvious and commonly known problems about it, or is it just the nature of this type of game? Some people are saying, well, no crap, it's a single player game. You play it, you beat it, you're done, right?
Right.
I
But
don't think so. Go
yeah,
ahead.
you don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think, quite frankly, the game has. Okay, this has come from somebody, by the way. I'm not just a hater. I actually really like the game, and I have put in over 50 hours into the game. But there are some glaring issues with the game as a single player game that have made me taper off on my playing it. One of those, for example, in a game that is supposed to be so immersive and the way that it was advertised, one of the things that people had high expectations for was the relationship building in the game is severely. There are only 4 characters in the game that you can romance. Now you think back to games like Mass Effect 2, how many players you could romance in that? The Dragon Age series, how many players you could romance in that game? Relationships are extremely limited in Cyberpunk, and not only that, the way that you carry out your conversations has little to no effect on those relationships. And I've noticed this because I have actually done I have done a good portion of a second playthrough of the game, and I have tried to approach the conversations very differently than I did the first time I played the game, and my game experience is literally no different. It's like, what is the point of having this massive RPG, this role-playing game, where they're like, be who you want to be, do what you want to do. It has zero consequence on the way that the game plays. Not only that, a lot of players are finding this glaring issue. It's not just me, it's players across, expressing their feelings on Reddit, on Twitter, on their forums. There's this problem where what happens is you spend all this time getting the gear you want, leveling up the skill trees you want to invest in, and you finally get to this point where you're like, sweet, I maxed out this skill tree. I got the final end tier perk in that skill tree. I finally look the way that I want to look. And guess what? You are out of content, baby. There's nothing left to do. I mean, there's like these crimes, these sort of like in the moment crimes that'll pop up every now and then. And that's it. Like, other than that, there's literally nothing to do unless you just want to go around and cut down civilians. There's no way for you to use your build anywhere. Everyone's just hitting a wall. And so I think it speaks to, I honestly, this is just speculation at this point because CD Projekt Red has not made an official statement on it. But I think it's pretty glaringly obvious that given the pace of the game, that some stuff was cut because it just doesn't make sense for a game developer like them who has the history that they have to make such a horrible mistake. That the pacing of the game would be so off that you would reach this point where you're like, I have a great workable build and nothing to do with it.
Right.
Yeah, and well, not to mention they've already been talks about they're adding they're adding free content. It's like, is this the missing content that should have been in the game at launch?
Maybe.
It could be.
Like, it's kind of like going back to the Destiny 1 stuff when you could glitch into like House of Wolves stuff, where it's like it was locations were in the game, they just like obviously weren't finished. So
Right. But like,
right.
even if it's like they're saying, okay, 70% of the player base is gone after a month, or 80,
79.
So is Destiny's though. Like, I'm looking at the Steam charts on Destiny, and like December 10th when it came out, it was at like 140,000 players. The average the past like 3 or 4 days was like 60,000 or 55,000.
That's
So like that's
But
like,
they
that's
still
like
have stuff to do.
that's like 50% though. That's not like 80%.
But here's the difference: is in Destiny, when you get to that point where you like complete the raid, right, the ultimate end game experience, the playlists don't disappear from the directory. It's not like you can just travel to the tower and go do patrols. Like, you still have content to interact with. You got playlist activities, but
Yeah, you can replay the raid.
you got
yeah,
stuff
but
you can do with
Cyberpunk
your
is
builds.
done. Like, it's
Cyberpunk, there's literally, you cannot find enemies to kill with your build anymore.
right.
That's a problem.
You know, and now that I'm looking at this chart, which is actually really surprising, what happened in November, like on November 10th in Destiny, and November 20th?
That November 10th
Was
is
that the
when
al-
Beyond Light came out. Yeah.
November 10th?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Beyond
Right.
Light.
Okay, so
Shows how much you know.
so I guess that's
Good
2
comment.
months. Oh yeah, so I'm looking at this wrong. I was thinking December 10th, but that was Cyberpunk.
Yeah, it was Cyberpunk.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I was looking
only
at
the
that wrong.
only the best minds here
Okay,
at the RGH
okay,
podcast.
but then in
Poor
2
Mike.
months we went from 250,000 players to 50,000. So I mean,
250,000?
250,000 on November 9th, and now we're
Yeah.
averaging 50,000. So
Yeah,
so I
a
mean,
day.
like those like any game is gonna fall off really really hard. So if you look at it that way, it's tough. No games are really gonna maintain that after a big launch, whether it's a launch of a DLC or a launch of the game. It's hard to like to say. 'Cause
But that's
at that
also
point,
because Beyond Light isn't doing well. I bet there was better retention after Forsaken and even Shadowkeep.
right? Yeah, for sure. That's true. That is true.
There's a lot of people that are also, as far as Cyberpunk is concerned, they're also pointing to things that were clearly major investments on the developing side that just don't get a lot of game time, and they're wondering, hey, there has to have been content cut. For example, there's this experience called a brain dance in Cyberpunk. Okay, and it's part of the main quest line. You have to do these brain dances where it's essentially somebody else records their experience doing something in real life. And then you can purchase that experience, wear this head's like a VR headset, and then you can experience that for yourself. And you get all the sensory things with it. It's not just a visual thing. And so there was a lot of development that went into these brain dances, because there's like this editing feature where you can kind of, it's almost, I would akin it to like Halo 3 Forge mode, or like if you were to rewatch your theater mode. If you were to rewatch your own gameplay, you can like go into third person at any point and go all the way around the map, see where everything is and what's going on. And the brain dances in Cyberpunk, they were kind of like that. But there's like only 3 or 4 times in the entire game that you get to do that. And it's very clearly like, hey, they spent a lot of time developing that. You can actually go to stores all throughout Night City and buy brain dances. But you cannot do anything with them. You can't play them. It like shows some error when you try to play them. And so people are speculating, like, did they literally cut brain dances out of the game when they shipped
Right.
it? And is this one of the things that's causing some of the trouble?
Someone made a
with how-
good point. Someone made a good point too. Like the leftover like water perks. There's a couple perks where it's again like you can't be detected underwater.
Oxygen. Yeah.
Literally useless. Like you never go underwater. So it's like, was there some sort of underwater segment or underwater location where that would have been useful that they had to cut? Who
Yeah.
knows?
That's true.
But
That's true.
It's just like more of an interesting kind of thing, and you know what? Again, it's like I'm really interested to see what happens to Cyberpunk in 6 months from now, right? He's like, is it gonna get some content back and it's gonna be a solid game? Who knows? It's really gonna be interesting to monitor what's going on.
I'm just getting so sick of like these big games launching and it's a bust. Because
Yeah.
it's like it's hard to get excited about games anymore. Because every single one that comes out, like I even just remember, and maybe it's because I am a content creator now, so it's different. I'm looking at games like, could that be a good content game? Like I remember when Destiny was going to launch back in the day, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like sitting there like, oh my god, like another week, another 5 days, like 4 days, like oh my god, the beta is gonna be here. I was so excited for that game, and I feel like I've never felt like that about any of the recent games.
Yeah.
Like I've been
I gotta
excited,
say,
but
yeah. I gotta say, in my opinion, I think the last game that on launch blew the world away and just like from day one just skyrocketed in sales has to be GTA 5. I think that was the last game that launched in a state that unanimously the world just was like, oh my gosh, this is revolutionary.
Yeah.
Since then, we've had some good launches, some great launches even, but nothing has even come close to GTA 5's launch. I want to see another game launch like GTA 5, where out the gate, everyone's like, oh my gosh. Like, when was the last time that happened?
I think that there's been some good games that like
This
they
is gonna
have
be
launched well, but they're not like as widespread popular. You know
like
what I mean? Like,
billion-dollar sales.
yeah, exactly. Like
it might
more
be,
sits
honestly,
at Outer Worlds. Like there were some games that were like, damn, this is good when it came out, and like Hades.
yeah, but Outer
and
Worlds
stuff
didn't
like
have the
that.
hype behind it.
No, I know, but I'm
No.
saying there has been some good games, but a lot of them are like indie game or like a little bit more niche. There's no like
The last-
AAA like.
Honestly, I'm gonna say Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Like if if you guys remember, like before then it was
OG.
like World War II, and everyone was wanting to get back to Modern Warfare. Everyone wanted to get back to the mod.
Yeah.
We don't want the future crap. We want boots on the ground. And then Modern Warfare comes out. The graphics were unbelievable. Like watching those original trailers of Modern Warfare, you were like, Jesus, like how are they even
Yeah.
doing this? And it came out and it ran well, even on the older gen consoles and
Mhm.
stuff. And it looked fantastic. And then things started to, well, basically skill-based matchmaking was turned to 11 and it ruined it. But, you know, like that was a lot of hype behind that game. And it launched pretty well. And the campaign was fantastic too. I think that was like the last like AAA huge launch that went pretty smoothly.
God of War, Ghost of Tsushima.
Yep.
Yep, those are good.
Yep,
And- but again,
those are two
they're
good
like
as well.
story games. Like they're not like mass played too. Like, and they're also like,
Maybe, you know what?
exclusives.
Battlefield 1, that had a lot of hype behind it. That was a big launch. That was at the same time. Remember, Battlefield 1 came out at the same time as the Infinite Warfare, which wasn't liked. And and remember the Seven
Battlefield
Nation
1
Army.
wasn't, like crazy well received though, was it?
No, the Seven Nation Army trailer for Battlefield 1 and stuff at E3, and they were riding horses and stuff.
Uh-huh.
That it was like a big, and it launched well. But Battlefield 5 was an absolute disaster, so they've been teetering off since then. Yeah.
Battlefield 3 was incredible.
Dude, Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 were non-stop hits, dude. It was
good.
Battlefield Bad Company 1 and
Mhm.
2, Battlefield 3,
Dude, I
Battlefield 4,
seriously,
and then they just came out of nowhere with Battlefield 5, and what the hell are they
to
doing
this
over there?
day, I firmly believe that Rush on Damavand Peak in Battlefield 3 is one of the most pinnacle gaming
Is
experiences
that when
in
you
the
jump
history
off
of
the
gaming.
cliff, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah,
Loved
after
it.
like after stage 2, then you parachute off of the dam down into the so
Yep.
good.
Oh,
on the old
such-
007 GoldenEye.
Yeah, like shoot people out of a helicopter, get in their helicopter in midair. Oh
Man.
my god, those are
I'm
good
really
ones.
hoping that the next huge title that blows everyone away, I pray to God, please let it happen, is Elder Scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
I hope
I don't know.
I hope they
No.
crush
If
it,
it's
baby.
Fallout 76,
If it's
I'm a
Oblivion.
rage.
if
Dude,
it's like if they take on Oblivion and go off of that, oh my gosh.
Because the problem though with that is like Fallout 4 wasn't that good, and it had a lot of problems. Like it wasn't bad.
Exactly.
But-
Please be bad because this one's gonna be amazing. I need
Yeah,
this.
like-
It's been like
like,
10 years.
Bethesda has missed, honestly, for the past like few iterations. Right?
Yeah, but the Elder Scrolls team, there is some overlap, but they're not exactly the same people that you see working
Yeah,
on.
no, it's true. Yeah, I agree. That would be a banger. We're talking about Battlefield. There's a new Battlefield coming out 2021 apparently.
Oh, really?
I'm ready to give him another shot. Literally, Link. Just thinking back on Battlefield 3, I'm willing to give
Oh, that
Battlefield
was
another shot.
so fun, dude. I even on console, you couldn't even get 64 people, but like 32 players, like Rush.
I loved
was
it. On
so
my
intense.
360, sitting on my couch,
Oh,
man, dude.
absolutely loved it. But like if you tell me if it's like, hey, Battlefield Bad Company 3, I'm done. I'm pre-ordering. I'm good to go. Like all you gotta do is you gotta announce that. I'm in, baby.
You're plugging that in and
I'm plugging it in. I'm plugging
living.
up, sucking it up my veins. Let me tell you. But yeah, you're right. I think you're actually right about Grand Theft Auto. Realistically, that and the only thing that comes even close is Modern Warfare. Is those are like the last really big games. Like Gears of War has fallen off a ton.
Yeah.
Halo's been not great for a long time, and Infinite just really didn't work out. Yeah, Minecraft 2 would be the only thing that really
Minecraft, dude. Minecraft is still just chugging away, man.
Truly. Fruit just made a new channel for Minecraft videos, and it's just one of those things, kind of what Kackis was saying earlier. It is super saturated, but like if you got even a tiny piece of that pie, that's a big pie. That's the biggest pie.
It's such a satisfying game too. Like even as a grown adult, like I have my own survival. I basically do only survival in that game, and I still sometimes at night sitting down here in the dark by myself at 1 a.m. in the morning while everyone in the house is asleep. I'm down here working on my whole. I've got a whole Viking themed settlement. I got like a long-house, a smith, and a stable. I got like everything that I just go around the map. I harvest my ingredients. I watch some tutorials on builds, and it's just so rewarding. You know, you get done with it, and you look at it, you're like, yeah, dang, that's pretty good.
Did you play Terraria?
I didn't. No. I didn't
It's-
actually get into Minecraft until I had a kid.
Right. And see, I played Terraria over Minecraft because there's like way more combat. Like there's like a little bit in Minecraft, and like there's the Elder Dragon, but we're in Terraria, there's like, I don't know how many bosses, like 15 or 16, and there's kind of progression. Like you can fight the Eye of Thulu, like that's kind of like the first boss, and it's pretty tough, and then you can maybe get some upgrades and fight the next one. And like it gets to the point where like you're fighting like big demon, like, or moon lord who's shooting lasers, and like there's a progression system in the armor, and it's very combat focused. Like there's a lot of combat in there. I would love if they could take some of that into Minecraft. I would be more interested. I get bored digging holes in Minecraft, and like the creepers are kind of basic. You know, like the combat is pretty simple, and I'm never really challenged in Minecraft. If they could mix some of that Terraria progression and boss and true challenge, I think it would be probably the perfect game. Like it'd be immaculate. But can they do that?
Well, since we're off topic anyways, might as well
sure
switch this bad boy into members only. So if you are a member, thank you for supporting us, and you'll be able to have the chat and ask us questions. If you're not a member, don't worry, stick around. You guys can still hang around and watch it, but we usually just basically one of the members asks a question, and then we just take it and run with it and go off topic. And then all the other members just keep piling on and get us to talk about what's their favorite peanut butter or something dumb. And we just completely lose control of the conversation.
Yep. Pretty much.
So that's what usually happens. Now, Tash is going to post, if you want to become a member, some links in the chat right there.
Yep. Click that link if you guys want to become a member, but stay tuned because this is probably one of the funniest and best parts of the entire stream.
I mean, we had the big rant about like what was it, Game of Thrones for the longest time.
We talk Game of Thrones and Mandalorian. We do genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much, all the viewers that aren't supporters. So we do genuinely appreciate that you choose to spend your time with us every week. Happy to have you.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna read out a couple donations and stuff. Craig Smith with a $5 donation. Guns are literally just cosmetic skins for various archetypes. The only thing Sunsetting does is lock players out of archetypes in a given season. I mean, Kackis has talked about that a bunch. Entire archetypes are like going away because we
don't have a
rapid
fire pulse. We don't have a rapid fire pulse, I don't think, in the game right now.
And there's no way to get one. There's no way to get one.
Yeah.
Jameemer Look at these fine-looking young gentlemen. I added the young in, but I mean, come on, we're young.
Hey,
Gentlemen.
by the way, Mike just celebrated a birthday.
Yeah, I'm
He's
old.
Congratulations.
45. He turned 45
And
years old.
my birthday's tomorrow, so we're
No
all
way,
level
I
up.
didn't know that. You're the 8th?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So I turned 29, and now I can just like get a little achy. I think next year is where it really starts.
Just wait, dude.
How am
Just-
I the youngest one here? Like,
Right.
what?
The thing that the
what the heck?
30s brought to me was just heartburn every day.
It's
I
because
still feel
the
pretty- I still feel
gallon
pretty
of
good,
whiskey
but
you drink a
it's
week,
not the
you
whiskey, nah.
dingus. Yeah, he's like, couldn't be the whiskey. The doctor's like, just
then
cut
it's
your
then
whiskey.
it's freaking worth it. It's
Goes to
freaking
the
worth
doctor,
it.
he's like,
bro,
Bring
what
on the-
is
bring
going
on the
on
heartburn.
with this heartburn? I can't believe
gotta
it.
cut out the
It
whiskey.
doesn't make any sense.
Bring on the heartburn, baby. Let's go.
I can't understand what's wrong.
If you could be an NPC in any game, what would it be, and who would you be? I would be the Archsage in Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning.
I'd be whoever gets to hang out with Beto in Genshin Impact. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Or I'd just be Beto and look at myself in the mirror 24/7. I'm just saying.
Thirsty freaking boy.
Thirsty. April Morris with a $10 number
She's
one
great.
fan. April Morris. I like the little
April's
emote.
fantastic.
You got a little dancing pear guy.
April's
Tommy
like the greatest
Van-
hype man on my channel.
Oh, really?
She's fantastic. Oh,
Love
yeah.
it. Tommy Van Limbergen with a new membership, and Jess on Xbox with a new membership. Thank you so much for supporting the RGH podcast. We've got someone making some emotes for us, but they're just not here yet.
They're coming. They're coming.
I don't know where that song was going, but
I liked it. It was a banger.
ooh, Balthazar. Oh my god, you know about Kingdoms of Amalur?
Bro,
Don't get this
I don't know
guy
if you hear it.
started.
Look, dude,
Don't
look
get
at
him
my
started.
wall, baby. Look at my wall. You see that
Balthazar's
right there?
comment right
See
now.
that right there?
Oh my god. Oh, Tash,
Dude,
why did you read that off, dude? Now we're gonna be half
Kingdoms
an
of
hour.
Amalur is one of my favorite games of all time, baby. And the freaking like Stone Giant Greek God DLC, so good, man, so good. But y'all don't know about that because you're over here like, oh, Minecraft is a good game. Come on.
Impact.
Extend- I like to look at my waifus in Genshin.
How do you guys feel about a
Cactus
serious
was over here
question?
like, I didn't start playing video games until
Till
2012.
my dad let me when I was 20. I was this close to shipping you, Tash, a waifu pillow for your birthday.
I would
wish
have
you
loved
would've.
it. That would have been the content, bro.
I honestly no, I was going to, and I was like, if I do this, I'm gonna spend money, and he's gonna make money from this, from like content wise. And I was like, I literally can't do that, dude. It's gonna piss me off.
I can't support my friend, right?
Yeah, exactly.
White Bishop with a 20 bomb donation. Happy birthday, guys.
Bro.
Thank
Hey.
you. So that is for us. That is for us. You don't
Yeah,
get any of
alright.
that.
That's going right. That's going to 1/4 of a bottle of whiskey for this little guy right here.
That's one wish,
and
one
you're
wish
mis-
in Genshin.
And your completely mysterious heartburn that just comes for literally
It
no
comes
reason.
out of nowhere. It's just
Out of
the
nowhere.
freaking phantom heartburn.
After-
Matthew, how do we feel about a serious question? As long as it's not like something controversial.
Someone has a good thing. Have you guys thought about getting into the Pokemon card craze? This is actually a good question because, like, I've seen this all over Twitter, dude. Like, everyone is opening Pokemon packs, and
I
me,
ain't doing it.
as a Magic the Gathering player, since when and how did I miss the boat here? Like, I'd love to sit on stream all day opening Magic packs. I'd do that, dude.
Right.
But like, I don't know where, and I don't know why specifically Pokemon, because like, I obviously my bias is towards Magic, but Magic has like a pretty big competitive scene, I think, and even Yu-Gi-Oh has a Pokemon. I don't think really does. So it literally is just the collectors. Like, people don't play these cards very often, unless I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just the collection of like the special shinies and stuff.
right.
I'm not touching it because I have learned there is a process. There's a correct way of doing that thing because in my raid team, there's a fine gentleman who is a Pokemon card enthusiast. And I won't say his name, KJ Hovey, but he knows all the process. He will shame you if you open up a package of cards incorrectly. He will light you up and he won't let you forget it. they have a strict, like, there's a whole culture there that I know nothing about. And if me is like, I'm gonna open up this card, but they're like, you tore the bag wrong. You put your thumb directly on the. Oh my gosh,
You're
man!
not
What
gonna
are you?
get mint rating if you put your dumb
Where are your gloves, bro?
your whiskey soaked thumb.
No,
right on
no.
Pokemon
But
card.
then you would wear the gloves and be like, "Don't you know that using latex gloves is worse?" And like, you can't do it right. But is this Pokemon opening? Is it not just Genshin wishes, bro? Like they're pulling it. They're like, I got the Raichu. Like it's the exact same thing.
It is.
People love that. It's just I don't know. It's gambling is what it is. And like I like Pokemon. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dropping 10 grand on a fucking pet. Oh, again swearing. Sorry. I'm not dropping $10 on a or $10,000 on a
Mike
pack.
had a teaspoon of alcohol. We apologize.
I sniffed that vodka and I'm like getting all dizzy.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. That's too much.
I pretended to drink some and I'm like, ooh. I don't know. It's just not for me. I'll watch other people. It's really interesting and like I've watched some openings, but the thing is though, like eventually these packs are gonna run out. With how many people are doing it, like the amount of like legitimate packs that are out there, it has to dwindle. Now, I think a lot of them are researching too because they see the popularity and they're like, wait, I have one of those. And so there are some becoming available and people are going back and all this stuff, but like there is a finite amount. They're gonna run out. They're not gonna they can't reprint them. And so eventually these same packs are
printing new sets with new chase things.
Yeah, that's fine. But people don't want that. They want Jungle Raichu with the dark shadow background. First edition, like those cards are rapidly becoming less and less available.
Well,
and like the Charizards,
it is the same thing with Magic, and Magic has been around way longer than Pokemon.
like the Black Lotus and all that.
Yeah, if you want like an alpha edition like pack, it's like thousands of dollars for a pack of cards, and you're probably gonna get trash in it, right? So it's kind of the same thing where the scarcity makes it cool, and the only people that can afford to buy it are like the people who do Twitch streams of it and stuff like that.
Yeah. I wonder how many people are and you know actually now that I was about to say that there's some people that are probably buying the packs and they're just going to hoard them and hope that it keeps going up, but at the same time if the hype goes down so does the value. Like people aren't going to be as hyped, so it's like they're almost like trying to time the market, like what big YouTuber, like when is Dr. Disrespect going to do an opening and that's what I'm selling, you know what I mean? Like it's so interesting how that's going.
Matthew, I see your question. As far as political stuff goes, we'll probably try and keep the majority of that curbed on the podcast, since we do try to focus on gaming. But when it comes to that stuff, I think it's case by case. I don't think you can just make blanket statements. I think you got to choose what's right for you and what you're comfortable with and where your comfort levels lie. I don't see things are black and white, so you just have to choose what's the right choice for you.
Yeah, and I mean that just like a small touch on that is just like if you feel so strongly about a political policy or about one of those topics that if someone is against that, it really hurts you. You know, I don't want to get into everything, but if there's human rights issues that you want to defend and they're not willing to defend it, that might be a moment where you say, listen, I can't agree with you on this. And you don't have to fight. You don't have to become enemies. But there can be lines where you draw and maybe you stand up for it. But again, it depends, because I don't know what your beliefs are, and everyone has different beliefs. But you just have to do what's right for you and your family. That's the way I've always looked at it, is you know, vote your way, you know, live your life your way. And hopefully you're doing what's best for the world out there. You know, I hope you're contributing to a better world. And that the crazy thing is, like, you typing that, it could hypothetically be someone on the exact opposite spectrum of me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
think the three of us here unanimously are just we don't endorse violence.
Yeah, be good to people and make good video games for the love of God.
For us, please, for the love of the podcast.
Whoever's behind Cyberpunk, I disagree with them at a philosophical level.
What is the most memorable console launch for you guys? What console launched and you're like, oh my God, I gotta have that?
Xbox 360, I think.
Well, that you said that was like one of your first big consoles, other than
One
the
of, but
GameCube.
like that was like a slapper and a half, dude. Like thinking back to the
N64.
games on 360, it was bangers.
I remember when the N64 came out, and like I remember riding my bike to the mall just so that I could go into Sears and play like the N64. They'd have the controller sticking out of the glass case, and you could play it. I
Like the
remember doing
McDonald's
that,
case.
oh my! I remember playing I remember playing Super Mario 64, and just that original world, and they knew me by name there at that Sears because I'd ride my bike there every day. And when I remember when Christmas came, and we my parents were real jerks about it. They gave us like it was like pretty lame present. And we got to the very last present, we opened it up and we didn't get what we want. And me and my brother were both like, "Thanks, Mom and Dad. It's a really good Christmas. We're good kids about it." And then after they let us open up everything, then they brought out there's one more thing. They did that whole typical parent thing. And it was, of course, the Nintendo 64 with a couple of launch games. I just remember going nuts over that, dude.
Yeah, I think so too, because it was like even that first step for me into 3D games. And if you go back and look at like Ocarina of Time, or if you go look at 1080 snowboarding, they are the most
dude, 1080, bro.
Polygon. Like it looks so bad now. It's like, are those sunglasses on that guy? Like, I can't really tell. But back then it was like, oh my god, look how realistic this horse is. Like, I can't believe it. And even GoldenEye, like back in the day, it looked like Pierce Brosnan or whatever in the
Yeah.
game. Like, I was like, they took his face and put it on that character. That's him.
They probably did, and then lowered the poly count to like
Two.
3.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think N64, and like I was definitely excited for the GameCube because it was just like, well, now it's all the stuff that I love to the next level.
I loved the game.
I loved
bro.
Paper Mario, and when I found out there was a new Paper Mario coming, I was excited. I loved Metroid back on Super Nintendo. When I knew there was going to be a 3D Metroid Prime
was so good, dude.
Truly, it is incredible.
YouTube boomers, listen, I'm telling you, if you really think about it though, yes, those were great times in gaming, but I feel like the Xbox 360 PS3 era was so good because if you think about the games were so much more substantial, and like they were utter Halo 3, the best Call of Duties we've ever had, like some of the Gears of War is just coming out, right? They were such good games, like Killzone and stuff on the PS3. And it was a time like just before microtransactions where it was like the game was actually full when you bought it. And then there's a couple of map packs maybe, but that was it, right? You actually got a complete game at launch. The games were actually good. Xbox Live with your buds and stuff. Everything was like simple and not too like money grabbing at the time. But the games again themselves, if you compare like the actual content in those games to like the older games, there's so much more. And like Halo 3, Forge
I don't
mode,
think so.
everything, dude. I don't know, man. That was the pinnacle. That was the pinnacle.
Yeah, Halo Forge mode Halo 3 was revolutionary. I mean, no one's gonna
That's what I'm
argue.
saying.
No one's gonna argue that. But
You're gonna argue with it.
But a game's value is not limited to the scope of the content. A game's value is really rooted in how the player experiences that content. And so while GoldenEye may have been less content than Halo 3, and I think that Halo 3 is one of the greatest games of all time. I'm not arguing that. I think that just overshadowing some of those older titles just because the scope of it isn't as big isn't necessarily fair criticism, because the way that it really launched gaming into this new era, you can't overlook that. I mean,
That's fair. I don't want to say
would have gotten
over
to that point if games,
yeah, but you're not gonna
weren't able to elicit such a response out of the gamer. We never would have gotten to that.
Yeah, but if you go and let your kid go play GoldenEye, he's gonna be like, what the hell is this? But if you go let him play Halo 3, he's actually probably gonna enjoy it. It was like good, it's close enough to modern games. And also, I think something that is important is, I'm not taking away from these old games, but like that era was when finally those games became accessible via online play. Like the Xbox 360, you could do it on the Xbox original, but it was like very difficult. The Xbox 360 PS3 era was like everyone's hopping online to play games together, and we didn't really have that. That was kind of the first time that really exploded, which of course led to today's era.
I mean, I remember getting Xbox Live, and I remember the first map was Last Resort for Halo 3, and playing and realizing I'm playing other people across the
Yeah.
world, and I have
It-
access to playing these people all day if I want to. And it's
Yeah.
different people and different skill sets. Like, it was like one of those like mind-blowing experiences.
Yeah.
That was a great
for
thing,
sure.
but the experience itself to me was I'm so much older than you guys.
Right,
By
you
a
are.
landslide,
Tell me about it.
admittedly. But I remember, like, in my town, Halo Combat Evolved was so big that social gaming was already huge before Halo or before Xbox Live ever launched. While that was revolutionary, I'm certainly not taking away from that. But we were already accustomed to social gaming because we would have
LAN parties?
We literally had not just LAN parties. We went beyond that. In my hometown, we actually had there was a. Do you guys remember? There's a maybe not up in Canada. Maybe folks in chat remember this. There was a store called Big R. It's kind of like a Lowe's back in the day. This franchise called Big R. Well,
Rona?
Big R, and they had gone out of business, and they had this huge department store, right? And they sold the building, and literally college students in my hometown bought the building and reconverted it to be this huge LAN party central thing. They hosted Combat Evolved like tournaments and live events all the time there. And we would go and we would participate in these tournaments. It was sort of like you'd make your teams, you'd sign up in person, and then you'd go out there to this old retired Big R facility, and you'd sit down.
You lived the life of like a plot of a movie where they set out the massive tournament and then the down and trodden.
Bro.
Like, what the hell is this life you lived? Most of us had no friends, and we just went and played Xbox Live. Okay,
That's where my gaming experience launched. I mean, I was into gaming before that, but when Combat Evolved came out, that's what we did. Like, we would strap up our rollerblades. We would practice at home. We'd strap up our rollerblades. We'd rollerblade out to this old Big R facility. We'd sit down. And we had these tournaments with people, and it was just hundreds of people in this big facility playing Halo together.
Was it uphill both ways getting there, by the way, Grandpa? 'Cause
Yeah.
I can't even picture what's happening. I
It's
can't
in the
even
middle of
imagine.
freaking Indiana. There's no such thing as uphill in Indiana. It's just flat.
Sounds incredible. I would love that.
20 miles I had to go to
play
my
Combat
Halo
Evolved.
tournament.
Anyways, I think that's pretty much it for the episode. We've been at it for an hour and a half at this point. Any other quick things we want to talk about? No, you just want to wish me another happy birthday? Okay, thanks.
Happy birthday, Grandpa and great grandpa.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that follow button if you haven't. Make sure to hit that bell if you haven't. Make sure you become a member if you haven't. I'll put that in the description right there if you guys want to get some emotes. But that was the RGH podcast. We do this every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We had to move it to Thursday, but next week it'll be on the Wednesday. You better be there. I'm
Love you guys.
Mtashed.
I'm KackisHD.
I'm True Vanguard.
And we will see you guys soon. Next week.